I check out a lot of startups and I really liked you guys, but the moment I knew you had product market fit was when my wife came up to me and said, "Hey, have you seen this thing, Napkin AI? It's really cool." And she was interested in using it for work kind of things.
Hi, I'm Matt Marshall, founder and CEO of VentureBeat. I recently sat down with Pramod Sharma, the CEO of a hot new company called Napkin AI that is doing something really interesting in the AI design space. Pramod says the company just crossed the 2 million mark in beta users, which is crazy growth considering it came out of stealth just last August. Napkin allows you to give it some text and it spits out a nice graphic that represents the meaning of that text. It does so in an easy format where you could stick it into your PowerPoint or other work. It's spreading by word of mouth. It's just really easy to use. Almost as cool as the product itself is the way the company runs on the back end. It's an agency of AI agents. Basically, it breaks up the roles of a traditional design agency, copywriter, layout designer, illustrator, stylist, and an orchestrator agent hands tasks to these sub-AI agents to get the job done. It's an example of an AI-first company, but very different from what we've seen so far, but possibly an example of what is to come. A so-called vertical AI agent company, super specialized in one area. In the first interview with Pramod, I'm joined by co-host Sam Witteveen, an ML developer who has been building agents. I then did a second interview with Pramod and his co-founder, Jerome Scholler, to learn about the latest part of this agentic system.
Pramod, I'm a big fan of your startup, Napkin AI. So do you want to perhaps just introduce what the product is and sort of describe it a little bit?
The basic idea behind Napkin has been I personally like to look at pictures. If somebody's giving a presentation, if I'm reading a blog post, or even news article, I love pictures, a good graphic. And I've seen it's so hard to make a good graphic. It just takes a lot of time, a lot of prep, a lot of design skills. So the idea behind Napkin is, can we make anyone create a compelling graphic? And if you can write what you're doing, which most of the time you have a written brief, we take your written content and transform into a graphic that truly captures the essence of an idea. And I've been using the word compelling a lot because what we realize in graphic, a good is not enough. It has to be really, really great. Otherwise, it defeats the purpose. You would want to add a graphic which is not great. And so what Napkin is an app. It's app app.napkin.ai. You go there, you copy paste a piece of text, and it generates a couple of different images or graphics for a given piece of text. And you can pick one. You can customize the color, customize the fonts. You can actually start modifying as much as you like. But our intent has been, can we get a really compelling first draft for you from a get-go? So we started working backward. Like, what is involved to design a good graphic? And we have this notion internally, what we call a design agency. Like, imagine you have a magical design agency, and there are 4 people working in the agency, and somebody thinking about copy for the graphics, somebody else thinking about illustrations and icons, and third person is thinking about design, and fourth person is thinking of a style. And we started thinking about what will it involve, what would it take to get these all these functions executed. And maybe some of the functions, maybe LLM could help in one of we call them these 4 agents working together. And one of the agent is like a copywriter. LLM is an amazing tag for us to build on top of that. Uh, but maybe for illustrations, we have some other very different approach that works. For styling is more a programmatic approach and not really based on a model. So we don't. So this isn't like one big model doing everything. It's really a bunch of different things trying to serve this purpose of how do we create a good graphic that you can one generate quickly and modify very easily as well. So this is a napkin. Actually, my son was using it yesterday. He had this. He's in 5th grade and he has a presentation, I think, on Chile. I think so. This works like a doc editor. I can edit this text. I can change, edit. I can add a little icon here. I can do that just like a like a text editor. The magic, as you might have seen already, is you select the piece of text, you press this icon, and now it generates a couple of graphics. And now what's happening is, behind the scene is, we are sort of, you can imagine the LLM. We have fine-tuned model on top of LLMs that takes this text, try to figure out what is the structure in this text, in this piece of text, or could be a data as well. What is the underlying structure, and try to find a mapping to a common design patterns. Um, for example, if I look at this one, uh, there is sort of there's one big idea and four sort of underlying ideas. Um, I can take this one, and then there are some other ways you can render this. So what's happening, as you can see, we run LLM once to generate this underlying structure, and then we are rendering it live, as you will see here. There are two big steps, two independent steps. So if I'm going from here to here, I'm not building a new, like you're not running a model again. So creating this intermediate structure of this text allows us to generate these diagrams on the fly, and different renderings of the same diagram. So for example, this is the diagram. Let's say I pick this diagram. I can pick a different style as well. And each of this style is the engine, the rendering engine doing it for us. And what's really powerful is, let's say I pick this style. I can actually go and change the style again after I have generated. So let's say I make these changes. I make this, I go here and I edit the copy, just like any other editor, you can edit the copy. I can change the style to something very different. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to decouple the the styling, the visual look from the content as much as possible. So let's say you want to change this icon, you press the button and you can see a different icon and start. Um, if you want to remove one element, you press this button and you're done. And that decoupling is the, as you asked about the technicals or underpinning, that's the most fundamental idea behind Napkin.
So where do you see? Okay, we can see here you're making a really cool visual. I we've got the average person, the average worker who sort of listens to this. They're doing PowerPoints, they're doing presentations every week, that kind of thing. I Is this easy for them then to basically incorporate into those things? Is that something that you see going forward that you're going to work on more, like to have sort of brand standards for companies, for that kind of thing?
That's actually coming very soon. We're very actively working. So now imagine a scenario. You can specify the font types, the color palette. You can define the shading style, the presets, and we're going to use all this stuff to help you generate what we call a style, and then everything that's really generated will be in that style. So you don't have to do it again and again, editing of the visual. That's definitely coming very, very quickly, very, very soon. Another thing that we are working on is right now we allow users to export this into PNG, SVG, and PDF formats. And because most of the time we expect users to get the graphic they want and then take it into their tool as a final presentation or final artifact. Uh, we are going to in we are making we're going to make that export format a lot more easier, a lot more integrated with other tools as well. I wouldn't give you the exact details yet. We're still working on it, but we really want to make it much easier for users to take this, embed some else, edit it, because we don't really care as much about how you present it. Our goal is to give you compelling graphic very quickly.
Pramod, one of the things that I think is really cool about you guys is that you are doing kind of like Gen AI, but not in the diffusion or just LLM kind of way, right? Like I had guessed that you had built some kind of parsing engine and stuff like that. I and I like looking at it, but I just kind of feel it's cool because I don't see other people doing stuff like that, right? I see like Gamma doing it with templating a lot, but it's not as cool as what you guys are doing. This is one of the things that, like, I've thought since I first sort of played with it myself, is just like, whoa, this is like, this is something different. Like, it's like a third category. I kind of feel it's not just the LLM stuff. So my background is in deep learning. That's sort of why I'm sort of saying this. I kind of feel like, okay, you're doing it in a different sort of way rather than the direction everyone else is going for. The other thing I thought that was really interesting about your startup is it's very interesting tech in that it is definitely generative AI tech. It doesn't fall into the sort of standard thing that everyone's doing, like a wrapper around an LLM, and it's not doing pretty pictures in the sense of like, stable diffusion or mid journey or something like that. You're really sort of going for generative AI, but for very practical purposes. So you guys have got this awesome tool. Do you stay just doing graphics, or do you take on the likes of like Gamma and do sort of like the whole PowerPoint and stuff like that? Like, one of the things I've used you guys for is like graphics for videos. I found that to be really awesome, is just being able to take some of the script of the video, chuck it in there, get some graphics and stuff like that, for diagrams, that kind of thing. But it seems to me that the majority of people are probably using you for PowerPoints. Would that be right?
Presented.
Yeah.
That's actually PowerPoint would be like more than half of our use case would be definitely PowerPoint. Um, uh, so as you can imagine, this is a question we internally discuss a lot. And there's one thing I've learned as a second time founder, which is uh, focus. What we realized that the problem of generating an image is really all about quality. Like imagine I give you two designers. One creates an amazing design, other one creates an average design. You have no use for the average design. You want only
Yeah.
the great design. So the quality really matters for this. If you're going to starting to use this and start putting in front of people on your blog post and your video, the quality really matters. So for us, this is the game of quality, and we are absolutely focused on just generating a good graphic. Now, what you do with that, you can decide, and we'll make it very easy to export that out of our system. We don't ask you to stay within our system. But this problem itself, I personally find super inspiring because I know how hard it is. I've seen myself. And I can take a step further. This is again a feature request from our users constantly. Can you take my graphic and animate? Like imagine a flow chart, and then we know what we are generating the flow chart, so we understand how information is flowing in a flow chart. There's no reason why Napkin can't animate that. And you just been asking us, can you animate that? So there are many dimensions of graphic that we haven't yet explored, just partly because we are a young company and we
Right.
want to just go very deep into just that. And that's a choice. It's a very conscious choice. Very tempting to like, well, we can do everything. And it's like, no, just this
Yep.
problem itself is extremely hard. When we launched Napkin, internally, I had a goal of I think we're going to have like 5 to 10,000 beta users. And we are way over a million beta users now.
Wow.
And that's the kind of scale we were not expecting. So suddenly, like we have so many more options right now. We are not there. We are far. We have spent 3 years to this problem, but I can tell you, it's a really hard problem. And because humans are so good at reading graphics, figuring out if the graphic is good, they don't know how to make one, but they can judge one very quickly. So, that's a really interesting problem for us.
Yeah.
It's like they can judge the napkin, but they don't know how to do it themselves. I love that as a problem statement for us as well, because that means we have a very high bar to reach, and we are working very hard just to do that well. Making something people love is so hard.
You almost make me think of Kevin Systrom, or, the founder of Instagram, where it was he just spent time perfecting the corners of the icons, and the imagery, and the user experience, and really focused on that idea that you're talking about, making it loved by the users. Very inspiring.
I have seen when you lose track of that, suddenly it become not so fun company to lead. So I'm kind of selfish. I think it's so much fun to lead a company when you just love what you're doing. compared to when you're trying to convince everyone, trying to massage the message to look right. I just want to do the right thing.
A few weeks later, I sat down with the co-founders to have another conversation about their latest traction and discuss their agent structure in more detail, as well as their latest style feature that allows companies to customize the designs in their own look and feel. Can we talk, Pramod, on the agentic structure that you set up and how these three agents are working together?
Yes. So we look at this big problem of generation of a graphic, and we realize this is a fairly complex problem. And you divide it into multiple components. And each of the component, traditionally you can call them a microservice. Um, but because each of these can use its own model, it's common these days to call that an agent. In our case, that's what we call an agent. So there are three different agents we're talking about. An agent that takes a graphic, so that takes your piece of text and try to figure out what would the right layout or set of layouts that would really make sense. So this agent is really optimized for finding the right layout for this piece of information.
Wait,
And that's the only thing.
So okay, so you're understanding the prompt is coming in asking for help on a particular design. So the natural language is kicking in there. There's a reasoning model there that then is then turning to ask what the right layout is, and then that is
Yeah.
your handoff to another LLM, or how can you talk?
Yeah. So then you hand up to another LLM, and what it does for each of the layout, it try to find out what is the right copy that would make sense. The second agent is looking at a layout and trying to is optimized for finding the best possible copy for this layout.
Right.
And then it's optimized for that. We do a lot of fine-tuning work to really get that really, really right and very efficient and low latency.
Okay.
And then there's a part of this which is now let's find I'll call it third agent, which is an icon agent. Is like I want to add an icon to this.
Right.
Given this copy. So after step 1 and 2, the third agent is looking at what's my layout, what's my copy, and what would be given this context, what would be the best possible icon. And the fourth one is now I have this information, I want to style it so that matches either my company guideline or my client guideline or my personal guidelines. And I might have multiple styles. So you see, and if you were doing it on your own or you have a team, that's what you will do. You divide the work in among a couple of people,
Right.
and they will communicate with each other. So
Got it.
that's our structure.
I see. So there's a sequence where the reasoning model initially, would you call it a reasoning model? The one that's
You-
getting with
uh,
the agents
yeah, I think we can call it reasoning model. Yes.
asks for the layout, then the layout is given, and does it come back and then go sequentially to the next model and gets the icon? And could you talk
So
a
with-
little bit about the model you're using for this reasoning? We've been talking a lot about the kind of the reasoning paradigm. How does this model work? Who is it from? Have you distilled
we
somehow?
we definitely we have tiny models are like a traditional machine learning models. For example, if you want to rank your layouts, we use our own models for that. Uh, and if you want to analyze icons, we have another service we use. But for primarily our LLMs is OpenAI. Uh, but we do have tried other services, and we are kind of
So does that mean you're reliant on what are you using? Right, the GPT-4.
we use for
Okay,
primarily.
no, that's
So you can
really helpful.
you can correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, that's primarily.
No, we use a multiple models based on exactly which task are you asking. So for example, at some point in the process, there is some translation task. We use like the vanilla 4.0 mini because it's good at this. Sometimes we use the 4.0, sometimes fine tune. It really depends on really the exact task.
Yeah. A lot of people are very excited. We have a long list of things to do because users are not only excited to use, but they want it to get much, much better. So what we have been working on last couple of months actually is, can we make it super easy for you to define your style and pick that style at the time of generation. So what Napkin generates is aligned with your style.
Just so that it sounds like your user base has doubled to 2 million beta users.
Yes, we have more than 2 million beta users at this point.
Well, and it sounds like just in the space of a couple of months. Well, we've been using it at VentureBeat too. It's
Thank you.
cool.
So this is a blank document. So the experience you've been experiencing so far is this one where you generate a graphics. You have different types of styles, like field, like this one, or more outline, or black and white, pretty much anything. What we're introducing now is this new style button here. So when you click on it, you can see all the styles we already have, and you can toggle them. So that's new. And so, for example, if I only want that purple style that kind of like, I can say deactivate other. So I only have this one.
The style that you're referring to, this is you're saying, I like what is it that you're saying you like, right? It's the monochrome. It looks like if your cursor's over this one monochrome, it's purple. But it doesn't look like it's a particular company kind of style.
No. So we have those like built-in styles. They're pretty generic, and that's on purpose. The goal is to be able to fit people, any kind of use case that doesn't actually require specific
Right.
branding. Um,
So then there's the hard lines that you selected. And so what you're trying to do now is build one that's based on your selected style, which is hard lines.
Yeah. So it means that now all the suggestions. So far, I'm only showing the style selection. So it means that now you can get everything in the one style that you like, and it's much more streamlined to actually get directly to.
I see. So
what you-
all the options now are hardline options.
Exactly. The new part is the custom styles. So let's create a new one actually. So for creating a style, first we ask for a name. We add a few colors. So I'm just going to put some like this purple, and I'm going to put some kind of red that goes nice with the purple. And the background, I keep it white. And I go to next step, I can specify the font. So let's say kind of like the Chantel. But it's not for everything, just for the title, and the Roboto for the rest. So next step, it's still very bare bone. We are suggesting a few propositions. So this one, preset one, is actually doesn't use any of the style, is to kind of start from scratch. And the other one, so I'm gonna start to style from this one, let's say, because it's I like the purple background, and I want, so it doesn't look so good, and I'm gonna do a bunch of fixed steps on them. So let's go to the next step. The next step is I can actually click on anything and start saying, okay, it should not be dark, it should be bright. So I can actually brighten everything. You see, it's kind of doing weird things everywhere. It's because we are on kind of a training phase here for the style. We are saying, I want this one to be bright white. This thing, I like to be kind of in the middle range purple, and kind of showing a gradient of colors. So now I start seeing like that gradient of color is start to show up in other part of my examples. So I'm going to start do more stuff. So the title, I want it to be white. So now all my titles should be white. That seems fine. The leading line here, I like them to be dashed. Well, it's generalizing a little bit too much here. So I'm going to go back and say, no, not those ones. Those ones I'm to keep them straight. So, okay, this one kind of looks good. This one looks good. Not this one. So, okay, this one is fine. This one come out pretty nice right from the beginning. This one is fine too. Here, I don't like the dark thing at the center. So for this one specifically, I can just say, I want it to be, so let's see. So I want it to be white, but it's a little bit too white, so maybe not. But maybe I want it white with the dark icon is in the center. So now I'm starting to change the icon, so it's generalizing a little bit on the icon. So it's kind of a little bit of a small whack-a-mole game here. Okay, now it's kind of it's switched back to the color. So I want to Oops, I didn't want to do that. Let's go back to this one. So this one, yeah, I wanted the purple for the background. So the background was this. That's when I lost. Wow. The training
That
is,
looks pretty good actually already, Jerome.
yep. Yeah, and so it goes on and on. So you can actually start training, and once you train the system enough on the next generation. So I need to make sure it's selected, and I'm gonna unselect the other one. On the next generation is gonna use only the trained. So the trained style I just created.
Yeah, you certainly really do get a good sense of how you can train it and how consistent it is across the images. I have you got a way where a company can actually upload some of its existing assets, right? If they have a very specific set of templates they've approached and they want to avoid having to go through the training. I'm just curious if it's going to get to a point where
Yeah,
you can.
that's the goal. That's where we want to go.
Yeah. We definitely, what we realize is we will need first an editor, like manual way of training the system. And then there's a last step, missing piece is, can you set the right defaults so that I don't even have to find the right colors? We're definitely going there. Even before the launch, we have been thinking of a very simple experience where you can take a screenshot, upload to Napkin, and we try to derive. Again, that's where the LLM models have been super relevant for us, because now that's another agent that takes your screenshot and trying to derive the right style for you.
Right.
And this whole process we're trying to automate. So that's definitely a next natural step for us. But we wanted to get the right training knobs so that you can easily train it, so that it gets it very, very quickly. And you can preview it as you're training it.
Yeah, it makes
in
a
the
lot of
model.
sense. And even if you have your own template that you want to upload and learn from, you still probably want to fine tune it for a specific project and have all those bells and whistles, right? So super, guys, like what fascinating stuff, how all this is all coming together and how all the exist, all this innovation that we're hearing about, and all the freaking out around the most recent innovations. It's all real, right? All this stuff is coming
No,
together.
it's. I think it's what I find exciting is it's innovation from the from a developer standpoint, platform provider standpoint, the innovation from application layer. Users are also very excited, and that's we found very fascinating when we launched Napkin. Is users are ready.
Yeah.
This we were very surprised that the level of traction we saw very quickly is users get it very, very quickly, and they are very open to trying this out.
Yeah.
And that's different. That's why it's pulling it so quickly, because users are ready for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, look, I look forward to staying in touch on your innovation journey. It's fascinating and really useful stuff, Pramod. So thanks for showing us and walking through it, Jerome, you as well. Good luck to
Yeah,
both.
thank you, man.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much.